The following podcast is recommended for mature audiences only. The following podcast is recommended for adults only. Maturity is not a requirement.
Hello and welcome to Dear Download, a podcast about Download Festival, music and the industry, and all other aspects related to rock and heavy metal. This episode, we aren't talking about Download this episode, which is a bit odd. This episode, we are joined by Harry White from Hammerdown Festival. It might seem a bit odd that we've done a random episode in between our Countdown to Download episodes. This one was supposed to be our everything else episode where we talk about everything else that's going on in the festival. But there's a few things that they haven't released yet. So we decided to push it back by a week or maybe two, just to give them more chance to release, especially the map. The map is one of the main things that we normally like to talk about in that episode. And it's not out yet, so it's kind of pointless doing that episode just yet. So we spoke to Harry White from the Hammerdown Festival, which is an upcoming festival. What am I doing? I need to introduce Simon. I am Adam, and as always, I am joined by Simon. How are you doing, my man?
Hello, and good day to you, sir. This is going to be an interesting episode because it is similar to things we've done before, but Harry's insight into the music industry is awesome. So I think that everyone that's listening is going to like it because it has a sort of different window into how a festival works, how it's booked, and just what it's like to run one. So yeah, very, excited for what everyone's going to get out of this podcast. Yeah,
definitely. Before we go into that, how are you doing? How have you been the last couple of weeks?
Good. Just getting really, really excited for Download now. I'm sure everyone else is the same as well. But, I'm rolling out all my, standard yearly YouTube videos. And I forget how much when it comes to this stage, it really feels like Download's coming soon. And the viewers won't be able to see this. The listeners won't be able to see this. But Adam, because you're a viewer, there is just piles of Download stuff in each corner now. Because I got everything out of the loft. There's the trolley there. So I got everything out of the loft. It's all waiting to be deconstructed to see what I'm missing, what I've lost, and what I've still got. Because every year I look in and go, oh, I forgot I had that. So I'm sure I'm going to have that again. But yeah, just like everyone else, just getting really excited for Download. And literally cannot wait.
No, I can't. And I would like a bit more rain currently, though, because it still hasn't rained very much. Haven't.
When I've got the sprinkler out on my grass, it's too dry. Because at the moment I've got the sprinkler going every night on my grass to keep it nice and wet, and it doesn't turn into hay. And if you look around everywhere now, the grass is all starting to turn a bit yellow, and that's when the weather's been really good, but will it last? I don't think it will.
No. It's interesting. I haven't done any packing yet. None at all. I bought a few things. I bought some wellies. Just in case, so I don't go as unprepared as I was last year.
I got some new wellies as well, so I'm with you on that. I was looking at my old ones thinking, I know I've had them since Download 2016, but they're not comfortable. They're not the most practical ones, so I got a very, very nice pair that I invested in, so I'm very excited about that.
Nice. A couple of bits of news. Well, only one I can think of. I might think of another one as I'm going, but I don't think we knew our start time last episode, did we? Or did we? When we're going to be on stage?
No, I don't think we did. I don't think we did.
No. Okay, so we can announce a bit more about when we're going to be on at Download Festival this year. We have worked out, it's self-proclaimed, but still technically the truth. We are opening Download Festival this year. We're going to be on at 2:30 on the Wednesday, which is very early, and it doesn't give people that much time to get there, but we know how eager people are and how keen people are to get there as early as possible. So I'm sure there'll still be a lot of people there with us. But yeah, nobody else is on during our set or before our set. So we are the first people on stage this year at Download anywhere.
Yeah, we are opening Download Festival, and as me and Adam have discussed, that is going on our CVs.
Definitely. But because of that, I'm actually gonna try and get us one of those little golf buggies, because we've obviously spoken about when we're going to get there and where we've got to go. So we're probably going to aim for Blue Camp again. We're going to be allowed into the artist parking area, which is actually further away than where we want to camp than the West Car Park. So I don't know how it's all going to work yet this year. So I might just get hold of the person who booked us and say, look, you got us on so early, it's fine, but we need your help in getting set up and everything. So bring us a buggy, bring us a van so we can get our stuff to the stage, bring us a buggy so you can drive us to Blue Camp, we can set our tents up, and then drive us back to RIP to get ready for our set, because we won't have much time, and it might work, it might not.
We want this to be express, and we want to, act like big rock stars as well, because we are, after all, opening Download Festival. So,
of course, yeah, definitely. And we're probably the only people over the whole weekend that doesn't clash with anyone. Which,
yeah, we're not actually on when anyone else is on. That is pretty awesome.
Yep. Cool. So yeah, we've been writing our stuff for that, and like we said last episode, this year is going to top last year tenfold.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
So try and get there as early as you can for anybody who's going to be in RIP. We haven't had any other announcements for Download or anything, have we? Have we had?
No, one thing I will say that we have to mention is the Wednesday morning episode or the Tuesday night episode, or whenever we're going to do it, but we're referring to it as a Wednesday morning episode. So, as we said before, please get your messages and your voice messages into us, into the email, as quickly as you possibly can, so we can gather all those. And like I said, if you're going to send in something for us to read, either me or Adam will read it out, or if you send in an audio clip, that will feature on the Wednesday morning episode. And we just want to hear about why you love Download, why you keep going, why you're coming this year, who you're looking forward to, any of that sort of stuff. And then it will all be put into the community episode that we call the Wednesday morning episode. So get those over to us at deardownload2003@gmail.com.
Nice. Or if you're part of the Discord, you can put it in the Discord channel that's specifically made for that. It's called Wednesday Morning Episode Submissions. But yes, either of those are absolutely fine. Good point. I did put a post out about it just before we started recording, and then I completely forgot about it to say on here. So thank you, Simon.
That's why I'm here, and that's why you're here. We're here to get each other's backs when one of us forgets to say something. So
yeah, cool.
So I'm sure a lot of you have seen that we do have a collaboration T-shirt with Broken Day Clothing. You can still order the T-shirts now and get them before Download. So if you do want a Broken Day times Dear Download T-shirt, make sure you get yourself over on the website and get a Dear Download T-shirt, because it will arrive before Download. I think it's like another week, and then maybe you'll get it before then. If not, you'll only get them after Download. And we want to see as many of you guys wearing as many of our T-shirts as possible at Download, so that would be really cool. But I think it's a great design, and I think you should go buy them. But also, and this is not even plugging, they haven't even asked us to plug this bit, I do also think they have loads of other great T-shirts as well. So
yeah,
go and get our one, but look at their other designs, because they are sick. They're really good.
Yeah. And they're doing a lot of cool things with a lot of other people as well. Obviously, we know Stu has put his T-shirt out. Dylan, or Dilcam.
Dilcam's got one.
Which I think he designed himself as well.
I really like his design on his T-shirt.
Yeah. You can actually get a discount with our code as well. So put in the code DearDownload20 to get 20% off of orders over £40. I wanted to talk about that deal that we've got first, because I did something a bit silly. And I've been saying for ages about our shop being open for a month only. No, 2 weeks only, wasn't it? So it got to the end of the 2 weeks. I put our shop into maintenance mode. And then a couple of days later, I got an email saying, your subscription has come out for your shop. I forgot to put it. I forgot to lower the subscription for it, not just put it in maintenance mode. So we have paid for another month for our shop. So our shop is still open. I haven't been making a big song and dance. I haven't posted about it still being open because I felt like a bit of an asshole, to be honest, saying it's only going to be open for 2 weeks. But I did keep it open. And if you did miss the boat on that, if there was anything you wanted to get, it is still open. But get them in quickly because I don't want to be messing around with sending orders on like the 10th of June or something.
Yeah. Yeah. So get them in quick. We didn't mean for this to happen. When we said 2 weeks, we meant 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But due to an admin oversight, the shop is still open. So definitely get on it like now. And then we might be able to get your stuff out to you. Well, we should be able to get your stuff out to you before download. But come next week, we won't be able to guarantee that you guys are going to get anything. So if you do want stuff, get on it now. And also, thank you to everyone that has bought stuff because we had a load of people. It was fantastic.
We did.
Thank you to everyone that's bought. It was so sick.
Yeah, it was amazing. Thank you all so much. Cool. So was there anything else we needed to plug before? You said something that reminded me of something that I wanted to talk about, but it's completely gone. We were talking about the weather, weren't we? And speaking of weather and what we're expecting of download this year, we're expecting it to hammer down. So, yes.
Great segue.
So, shall we? I'm going to laugh at myself for a couple of minutes now. Shall we get into the interview with Harry White from Hammerdown?
Yes, let's do that. So, look forward to this. This is going to be a great chat with Harry. He is an absolutely great lad. And he's just full of enthusiasm and he loves this business. So he is just so intriguing to listen to him talk about it. So enjoy.
Okay, so as we would have said, we are joined by Harry from Hammerdown. Harry, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us who you are and what you do?
Hello, I'm Harry from Hammerdown Festival. Most people call me Hammerdown Harry. I suppose that's kind of my name. But we run a rock and metal festival based in Brighton.
Fantastic. So, so I've done a little bit of research, but I assume this is going to be more of you basically telling everybody all about the festival anyway. So you have been going for quite a while. You did start Hammerdown under a different name, didn't you? I think I read on your website earlier. And then the pandemic hit. And you ended up changing the name after. But from what I could tell, you are blowing up. And Hammerdown is just getting bigger and bigger every year, from what I could tell.
Yeah, it seems to be going all right now. It's taken a long time, but things have certainly picked up the last couple of years. We did 4 years before the pandemic. 1 year under a different name. I was literally a child when I started this. I'd put money for my first job in when I was 17. So first festival was in 2015. 2016 was the year we came up with the name Hammerdown. We did that 16, 17 and 18. We took the break over the pandemic, but it's actually a longer story than that because when we'd run for 4 years, 15, 16, 17 and 18, we'd run out of money. It was terrible. Nobody came. It was just bad, right? And so I went to go and learn about sales and marketing and how to present yourself and how to negotiate and how to do the kind of social media posts that people are going to interact with and all that kind of thing. I did that in 2019, and the intention was to bring it back in 2020. And funnily enough, in January or February 2020, we blacked out all the socials, black profile picture, everybody, reacting like, oh my God, what's happening? Yeah. And we were going to announce, we're coming back. And then the pandemic come around and everybody was talking about it in January, February. We didn't really know what was going to happen. And obviously in March, we all locked down. And for most people, that was a horrific time. And for me personally, it's a very horrible time. But in terms of the business, it's just a reality that we weren't really ready to come back in 2020 anyway. And that I was only pushing so hard to try and bring the festival back because I felt like if we left it too long, because it was only a little festival anyway, that everybody would forget the name, everybody would forget it ever existed, and I'd have to start from the very beginning again. So I was kind of rushing to get it out there, which was the wrong thing to do. And so actually, when COVID came and forced us to take 2020 off, and really the world wasn't ready in 2021, pushed it back to 2022, and then we restarted again. At that point, the world was ready, and it didn't matter that everybody had forgotten the brand, because maybe I was just being a bit arrogant in 2020 when I was trying to force it out there. Nobody knew what Hammerdown was anyway, because nobody had come to it. So when we restarted it, it was a fresh start, but that was okay, and we were ready. We were in the right financial position to be able to afford to do so. So it was the perfect year to come back. So we'd had a long time off, and it was really a fresh start. And so the time pre-pandemic and post-pandemic are just completely different festivals, completely different thing. We'd gone from having 30 or 40 people, in a 400 cap room, which was disastrous, to the first year we come back, we had over 200 people, and it's built since then. So, it's a completely different thing now.
Yeah, so in some ways, well, for the festival, the pandemic was a blessing in disguise, because like you said, it gave you more time to prepare, just to get everything ready.
Yeah, definitely. And I'd only been in the sales game for about 9 months, and I'd learned a lot, but being forced to stay in that game for another 2 years just taught me so much that I apply every day now, even just with things, basic principles like work ethic. As simple as that sounds, all of the extra stuff, like my confidence is so much better. Like I've changed so much as a person because of doing all of that. And it helps, I can be on the social media, I can talk to people and go and network. I can go to any event and talk to people without being nervous, and that wasn't the case pre-pandemic. I've developed a lot as a guy, as a man since then, and I feel like that's really helped to push the brand and push the festival. So definitely for the brand and what we're doing, blessing in disguise, because it forced me to take more time to get ready properly, rather than just rushing out products that would have fallen flat on its face again.
Yeah. So talking about this year, we want to talk to you about everything, about, because you do so much more other things than just the festival. But let's just talk about this year's festival first. So like you said, it's in Brighton. It's over 2 days. It's indoor, isn't it?
It is. So it's an indoor festival. It's at 2 venues. They're in the same building. They're owned by the same people. So at Chalk and Dust are what the venues are called. So it's an 850 cap indoor festival, 2 stages, 2 days, 36 bands.
Cool. And it's also, for anybody wondering, it is actually the Saturday and Sunday, July the 19th and 20th. And like we said, in Brighton. And so let's have a look at some of these bands that you've got booked. So one thing I noticed, going off a little bit, that a lot of the bands that you've booked over the last 4 years have ended up playing the Download Takeover at least a year or 2 later. I don't know if many other people notice that. You probably noticed that. But since doing this, I've
definitely noticed that. I'm not going to take you credit, but yeah, I've noticed that. Yeah.
And obviously it's something we look at quite closely all the time anyway. I'm not going to remember who played the Takeover in 2010, but since we've been doing this and just looking through your things and seeing that I recognize a lot of the bands. But this year, so you have, the headliners, Tigers of Pantang on the Saturday at the main stage, and the Raven Age, which, nowhere near the Takeover. They opened the main stage in 2022, 2023, maybe.
Yeah, that's correct. Spot on. Yeah, absolutely. So that's an honour. They're so cool. The Raven Age are probably my favourite band at the moment that I'm listening to all the time. I will have their 2023 record on my headphones on the way home. When we're done here, when I get on the train, I'll have that album on. Blood Omen is so good. I just think they're fantastic. And Tigers, we had them play a show in Worthing a month ago, which I was involved with, and they're the coolest guys on the planet. They're so nice. And I was chatting to their manager once we'd loaded in, and I showed the guys around the venue and all this stuff, and I was chatting to the manager, a guy called Tom, outside. And it was really funny. I said, I'm just amazed at how nice and polite and friendly they are. And he goes, Harry, they're too old to have egos. You should have seen them in the 80s. And it's so interesting, right? Because they're just like super chill guys now who've done it all. They co-headlined Reading with Iron Maiden in like 80, whatever it was.
Holy shit.
They've toured to they've done everything, Tigers of Pantang. They've had big record deals, sold insane amount of records, and now they're just like these chill dudes who just have a great time, love playing their music, and are too old for egos. What a cool sentiment that was. Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah. That is awesome. That is really cool.
Yeah, they're cool.
Yeah. Also, underneath the Raven Age, I can see Dream State, who they also played, I want to say, the Avalanche stage a couple of years back.
They did last year. I was there. Yeah, so
year.
they did the Avalanche last year. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they're great. Jesse's got a fantastic voice. The band, they're all great musicians, and they've been on the forefront of an explosion for so long. They had their vocalist departed the band a few years ago, and it caused them to take a hiatus for a while and stuff. Just as they were absolutely exploding, and I feel like they're just on the cusp of that again. They've worked their way back up to that stage. Now I feel very, very lucky to have them now with Jesse at the forefront. Just before, in my opinion, they're going to just rock it up. I've got them as main supports, and in 2 years' time, I feel like they're a band I wouldn't be able to afford as a headliner. That's what I see with Dream State. They're wicked. So.
Yeah, I saw them at 2000 Trees with the original singer, I think. Yeah.
Yes, okay. I never saw them with her. No, I didn't see them.
Yeah, I saw them at Trees. I think it was about 2018, I think, around there.
Fine.
Yeah, they were good. But I haven't seen them with the new singer, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah, they're really good. Jessie's got a good voice. She does the old songs justice, but what's important is she's able to put a new spin on what they're doing now. So yeah, I mean, she's really cool. She's great.
Awesome. And I mean, we could talk about all of these bands one by one, but we haven't got time to do that. But a couple others are, I mean, anybody who listens to this show regularly will know In Search of Sun underneath them.
Yeah.
You got Bleed Again, which I believe were on last year's Takeover. Crushed by Waves also on last year's Takeover, who we actually saw with Self Deception. Was it Crushed by Waves? What am I thinking about? No, it was Crushed by
Waves. Did Takeover 2 years ago. They did Takeover 2 years ago.
Who was that?
They're so good.
Who was it? Sorry, who did you say?
Crushed by Waves did the Takeover 2 years ago.
Oh, 2 years ago, was it? Okay.
So Bleed Again headline last year. I was there with the guys. That was an insane experience. Crushed by Waves on the year before. Yeah, it was really cool. Yeah, and In Search of Sun. Oh my God, they're so good. I love those guys.
Yeah. So we've had Adam on the show a few times. Anybody who listens regularly will know. Yeah, he was a very good friend of Simon's growing up. Like I said, we could talk about these bands for ages, but we're not going to. If you want to have a look at the bands, I mean, we'll put links to everything in the show notes anyway. But we wanted to talk to you about how you go about booking the bands, because being a festival that's obviously not quite big as the big boys, you are going to have a lot of smaller bands that not many people will know. There's not going to be anybody who knows all of these bands you book. So how do you go about finding them?
Yeah. Okay, so how do I go about finding the smaller bands on the bill? Well, so it starts with the bigger bands, because I've already had lots of agents come to me and lots of smaller bands come to me saying, hey, are you booking for 2026 yet? We'd love to come and play. And my response generally is get in touch, in the autumn, because right now I have no idea what 2026 is going to look like, what the shape of the festival is going to be, because it all depends on who we get on the top of the bill. So if I'm booking a Tigers Pantang, then I'm booking a lot more bands that have a new wave of classic rock sound or have a traditional heavy metal sound. And if I'm booking Raised by Owls, who are headlining our second stage on the Sunday, then I'm going to shape that stage in a far heavier way. So, the bands that are asking, I have no idea if or where they'd fit on the lineup, which means right now it's just a no-go. So it starts with the top. It starts with, I put out offers a load, because they're not all going to be free. Some of them are going to be too expensive. Some I'm completely over-egging, where we're at. I'll send Skindred an email and they're like, no, or whatever, right? So because we're just not at that level yet, and that's cool. And so I won't know until I've sorted that bit. But once I have, a few parts to it. One, we have a management agency with Hammerdown as well, so we manage 18 bands across the UK and Ireland. And so because of the amount of shows that all of our bands do, that naturally exposes me to an insane amount of other bands, because one of our bands that we manage is on a 4-band bill twice a week. Then I'm going to see an insane amount of band names and posters. And the guys give me reviews. The different people in the bands that I manage tell me, oh, this band was sick, you should check them out or whatever. So that's a part of it. But we've only had the management company for the last year and a half. So a big part of it is just me going to loads of gigs and seeing different cool bands. Like I'm going to Breaking Bands Fest in the Midlands tomorrow. And I'm going to see, 30 odd bands across the weekend. I'm taking my 4-year-old. It's his first festival. I'm very, very excited for that. He's got his little headphones and all that. And we're going to go and see a load of bands. I guarantee that if you look at the Breaking Bands poster today and you look at Hammerdown 2026's poster, and there will be 1, 2, 3 bands or whatever that play Breaking Bands that are going to be on the next one. So I see bands live and I'm like, yeah, they're cool. The whole premise for me, if I like it, I'll book it. I don't. Okay, in a 36 band lineup, there's probably a favour or two that I'll do for somebody, but generally I've got to like the band to book them. That's the reality. So most of it comes from me going and seeing live music and deciding that they're cool and I want to book them.
Nice.
That is cool. I like that. I like that a lot. You just go see a band, you think this band's awesome, got to get in contact, and then you try and book.
Yeah, well, it comes with its problems, Simon, because I like a drink at a gig, and I'm often like, yeah, come and play my festival, yeah, cool. And then I forget, and then they get in touch, and I'm like, oh God, I did, yeah, I promised you a gig in Cardiff or whatever that you could play my festival, yeah. And I'm a man of my word, so I've got to do it, right? So for this year, for 25, right, I had, because we've got the 2 stages, I booked most of my lineup, but I said to all of the team, we're just going to keep 4 slots until like January or February 2025. In case any bands crop up out of the woodwork, like, we met you at a gig in Glasgow, are we still all right to play your festival? And I'm like, oh, flip out, yeah. So the team have banned me now from doing that, so I'm not allowed to do it anymore. I've got to behave myself. But I'll have a beer and I'll say, because I'll forget in the morning, record me saying it, and I'll get some video of me in the morning of people like, "Oh, our festival." So I've got to not do that.
There you go.
But,
you heard it here first, people. If you want your band to play, get at Harry while he's had a drink.
Yeah.
How sober are you now? Because we could tell you all about Simon's band currently as well if you're drunk.
Well, actually, and I shouldn't say this, but so the reason I was 5 minutes late this evening is because at 6, me and Shanice finished at the office. We went to the pub because we were meeting a band to discuss, some game plan stuff for their strategy for the year and whatever. So I had 2 pints before I come on here because I was in the pub with one of our bands. So so Simon, tell me everything. Now's your chance.
I'll be in contact with you at some point. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Late in the evenings, best
late at night. Cool. Is that so we I haven't touched on this yet. I haven't explained it, but I'm going to go straight into it. Is that why you have so many other smaller gigs started around underneath the Hammerdown name? Is because you run out of spots and people are like, you told me you give me a gig, and it's like, all right, well, fine, we'll find a gig for you over in Cardiff, or something.
That is a brilliant question. Nobody asked me, and I've been waiting to say this. Absolutely. So we do. So I personally run last Friday of the month gigs at a basement venue 2 streets away from me called the Charles Dickens, which me and a group of other people who are local to Worthing have turned from an empty room into an actual functioning venue with a proper light and bar and all this other stuff, and like an in-house PA and all this stuff. I have 4 bands on there every month, and you're absolutely right, Adam. I get bands asking me all the time. That's a lovely problem to have because I get to hear so much music. But the obvious reality is that I have this year the most slots I've ever had to run the festival, and it's still only 36. Right? Mm-hmm. So there's an insane amount of bands that ask. We had 173 bands, or 174, something like that, apply for our online competition to win 2 slots at the festival this year, let alone all the bands that have emailed me since then or before then. So yeah, it's a filter system, because I'll put you on at the Charles Dickens and Worthing, or you can jump on the support for one of my bands that I manage that are playing in Southampton or whatever. You don't post about the show. You don't sell any tickets. You're unresponsive to the emails. But then it's a pretty surefire way that I'm not going to invite you to play the festival. But the bands that are on it all the time, they push the show. They don't have to bring 100 people. I get if you're a local new band, whatever. I don't expect you to bring those people. You're promoting the show. You're putting the time and effort in. When I say, we've got a bit of a situation, the venue's amps blown, can you provide a cab? Oh no, we don't do that. So, it's pretty easy. And the thing is, it's there's so many bands that it means nothing if a band mucks about and are difficult. It's not the end of the world if I don't book them for the festival, because there's lots of other people who want to play. And so the bands who are they're helpful, they're communicative, they're friendly, they're polite, they don't have an ego, great. And so I've got several bands this year that have jumped up at different stages. There's a pop punk band based in Bognor Regis called Such Better Days, and they're wicked. And by the time I'd come across them, the festival lineup was booked up. They played our Hammerdown Takeover show at the end of October, a sort of Halloween special thing, right? And it was all booked up. But I was like, oh my God, not only did they pack the place, but they promoted loads. Their show is amazing. They're all in Scooby-Doo outfits, and it was a great, fun evening. They brought beach balls and were popping it about in this tiny little basement venue. And the effort that they'd gone to, they supplied both the guitar cabs, all this different stuff. And I was like, right, well, look, the festival's full. I'll have you on the Hammerdown warm-up show, which is a big show in itself now, In Search of Sun headlining that this year. So they're now third on the 5-band bill for that show. We've got another band called Zero, who, they've got one EP out on Spotify. They've not done anything in ages. They've only played local gigs. They've played 3 or 4 of those takeover gigs for me because they're based locally. Always bring people, always happy to provide gear, always super friendly and easy to deal with. And I had a band drop out of an opening slot at the festival, thankfully, before I'd announced them. And I called the guys. They were like, oh my God, yeah, that sounds amazing. So they're on the festival. They're just because they're nice people, so that is everything to me. If you're a nice person, if you put your effort in. That was a very long-winded way of saying yes, Adam. That's exactly what it is.
That's good. It's a very informative
that is
way
very
of
cool.
putting it.
Yeah. And like you said, these bands have to put the effort in. I think any band that comes about these days probably understand that they have to, or most would. But I doubt anybody puts anywhere near as much effort in as you do. I saw you've been out flyering and everything and going to businesses. One thing I did see is you actually managed to get 10% off at a food place for people at Hammerdown if they get a wristband.
Yeah. Well, thank you, by the way. That's really cool. So look, running the festival is all problem solving. And by the way, before I forget, just because you made a point there about, look, if the bands don't put in the work in, I'm putting the work in because I'm providing you a festival of hundreds of people to play to. Working for me at a small working venue and help me out, the opportunities are far bigger.
Yeah,
I put in an entire year's worth of work into this festival. People don't just swan onto it and play to 600 people and now they're famous or whatever. It's obviously not how it works, right? So yeah, you're absolutely right. Everybody's got to work together to build this. We help each other at the small gigs. If you're good people, you get bigger stuff. It sounds so simple, but you'd be amazed how many people miss that. But yes, the food. So we've had food vendors the last couple of years at the festival. And this year, the nature of the layout of the venue, the fact that there isn't any outdoor areas other than just like a smoking area and stuff, and we can't do food like catering on site. So I was like, okay, well, we need to get people good food locally. We could just say, pre-rain, obviously you've got wristbands to go in and out as much as you like and just, go and have a pizza and that's fine. Or we could actually try and go into some businesses and try and get people cheaper food than they'd be able to get normally if they've got Hammerdown wristbands. And then, so actually the way that works is they're getting high street prices rather than festival food prices, and they get 10% off the high street price anyway. So we've got one place called Box Shop, which do like Korean fried chicken. It's amazing. And I'm just waiting for a few more people to get back to me about other food and drink locally, just so that everybody, obviously there's bars in the venue, but in terms of like going out and eating, It's a long day, man. People need to eat, so we've got to sort something out.
That's a big part of a festival is people eating, definitely.
So is festival food is such a culture now, isn't it? And that's one. We sat down a couple of years ago with the team. We were like, right, let's identify all of the things that we think are important for a festival, and let's pick it apart and figure out how we can do that Hammerdown. And so the last couple of years that's really worked, and it's just because of the type of venue they've got this year. They just can't do food on site, so we've got problem solved and figured it out our own way, and we have. So
you're making me hungry, man. Jesus. I've got a question, just a random one that came to me.
Go on.
What title do you give yourself when you invent something, you create it? Obviously, it's a business. What do you call yourself? Head of booking, director? Like what do you refer to yourself as when you're talking to other people? Or, at the bottom of your emails, what does it say?
That's a good question. I thought we'd change it all the time, really. Whatever I feel like inflates my ego the most, I suppose. So the bottom of my email says managing director, which it feels lovely, obviously. On Facebook, it says CEO, and I'm like, yeah. So, but yeah, somebody the other day was like festival boss man, so I sometimes call myself the festival.
Nice.
So yeah, whatever, really. Yeah, I don't care, but yeah,
That's
whatever.
I
Whatever makes. And crucially, when I'm emailing agents and stuff, whatever makes me sound the most important, because then agents will reply to me and give me their good bands. So that's part of it, I suppose.
Yeah, that is a good idea. Yeah.
It's such a huge world that most people don't know about. I mean, since getting on the download lineup last year, we've been getting loads of these promotional emails and everything. We actually had one email with an album before it was released. Most of them is after they've released, and it's like, well, I could have found that on Spotify myself. But it's such a huge world, and some of these promotion companies, they've got a huge list of bands that they manage underneath, and I'm like, I had no idea this whole world of everything existed in music. But it's really cool to actually see it and be part of it. But you said that you took a year off to basically learn all of the business type of stuff. But it's one thing Simon mentioned a while back now, and it's always stuck with me, that it's a miracle that any festival ever goes ahead, because there's so much going on in the background. You obviously have a big team you obviously have a fairly, I don't know whether you call it a big team or a small team, but you have a team behind you that help you out as well. But I mean, I think I would feel quite overwhelmed knowing that there's always something extra that you could be doing.
It is an insanely hard game, and people don't realise. And a lot of it is the stress and the pressure, because the amount of money that is required to front, what we're doing. And look, mate, I've worked. I come from a very poor family. I've worked, I worked 16 hours at KFC every day to fund the first couple of editions. All of the sales job that I did for 3 years, commission only, high street selling in the rain every day. I've put everything into this, and it's hard. And the toughest thing about it is, post COVID, the world has changed very much, and people buy very last minute now. And you see so many posts floating about of, support live music, buy in advance, events, and it's all true. But I don't want to blame the consumer, because I'm the same, and it's a completely valid reason, because the sort of way to explain it that I've sort of come up with is that when we come about, we all had gigs and festivals booked. Some of which were non-refundable. But not only that, we all had hotels booked, or train tickets booked, or all this other stuff, or we just bought a 10, or whatever it was, right? And all of that goes down the drain because it's all cancelled. Then the events start getting teased again, and there's a fire break lockdown, and then there's a second lockdown, and there's all this stuff that happens. And so when events come back, people go, well, we're not really sure what's going on in the world, so we're just going to buy maybe like 2 months before the event. Let's do that, rather than buying really far in advance. And then what happens is all those promoters get to 3 months to go, and they panic and they go, "Oh my God, this is a disaster! I'm going to close down because we sold no tickets." So what happens is the customers go, "Well, thank God I didn't buy that ticket because it cancelled. Just to be safe, I'm going to buy a month before." So all the promoters get to 2 months to go, and then they go, "Oh my God, we sold no tickets, cancelled the event. This is a disaster." Then people go, "Well, okay, if I buy in the last week, that's probably safe that it's going to happen. If they haven't cancelled up by then, it's probably going to happen. So I'll just get everything. I'll get my ticket in the last week. Then I'm not going to lose any money. I can book the hotel room, and I'm not going to get shafted because this festival closes down or whatever, right? And then all that means is that festivals, promoters of any level gig, just have to have some, big stones on them and go, well, I'm just going to hold out and trust that that people are going to buy. And that is the hardest thing, because, I'm lucky that I'm very stubborn and I won't cancel anything anyway. I haven't done, go look at my record, I don't cancel things. So people have a certain level of trust in what we're doing now, and that's great. But I have the data from the last few years that shows that my sales double in the last couple of weeks. Right, okay. For almost all of my. But the stress of that is, as you get bigger, that means you require more money in the last couple of weeks, and you just got to hope that 5, 10, 30, 100 grand or whatever it is that you put into the event is going to show up in the last 2 weeks, because otherwise you are very, very broke, and that puts a lot of stress and pressure on people. That's tough. That's the toughest part about what I do. That's the hardest thing, is because people around you don't get it. Say, what the hell are you doing? You're going to lose so much money. You're going to be bankrupt, whatever. And you've got to focus on your own lane and say, I trust that it's going to work. And look, it has so far. I'm a long way from my break even this year, and it's in 2 months' time. I trust the numbers, trust what's going to happen. I put the ads out, I get on the calls and the podcasts and the interviews and the magazines, whatever. Do whatever I need to do, and just trust the process, and it's going to happen. And So I think the best tactic that people can have, and I will stay at the venues that I'm at now for the next couple of years to get it to a consistent sellout level. The way that you beat the system just described is by creating a supply and demand issue. The reason that Stone Dead sell out every year now is because they haven't upgraded their capacity. So last year, they sold out before they announced their headline band, which ended up being Sax. So they'd sold out when they had the other 7 or 8 bands went. This year, they sold out before they had announced a band, which is outstanding, unbelievable. Yeah. So the music scene isn't dead. It isn't in trouble. It's doing fine. But there's lots of issues that you can. There's many issues, but there's lots of ways that you can beat that system. Stone Dead have done it amazingly. Breaking Bands Fest sells out every year. That's 700 capacity. That's what I'm going to tomorrow. It's sold out. That's great. And that's all local bands. It's called Breaking Bands for a reason. It's discover your new favourite band. It's the sort of motto of it, right? So there are ways to beat that system, and that's what my goal is now. Is to stay at Chalk and Dust until it sells out once or twice. And then people go, oh, God, I've got to get my tickets. And then we can afford to upgrade it again, because we've grown very, very rapidly over the last few years. We don't sell out, and that's why everybody can wait till the last minute, because they can afford to do so.
Yeah. I mean, it must be a nice feeling, though, when you're actually at the venue, it's happening, you look around and there's loads of people and you're like, yes, thank God. Wow. The wave of pressure must just be like, okay, this was all worth it.
I don't describe to you that feeling when you look and I check the notifications from the tickets coming through, right, to get a little email ping off every ticket sold. And in that last month, but particularly the last 2 weeks, every ticket sold wherever I am, it's like, yes, come on, because it's getting that little bit closer. There's a fist pump in the Tesco's, right, or in the B&Q, wherever I am. And people around me are like, weirdo in a suit doing, but like every ticket sold, because at that stage when you're so far behind, that every ticket means so much. And yeah, you're absolutely right. And when you get there and it's hundreds of people, and 2 weeks ago there was only 100 that had bought tickets.
Yeah.
Oh my! And it's a relief, and it's like, yes, and yeah, and that's what makes it worth it. 2 days make 363 days of stress worthwhile.
Yeah. Awesome.
It's a stressful life to lead, friends.
And I have noticed a trend that almost everyone that puts on a festival, well, the males anyway, when they get to their about 30s, they have no hair left. But you still have a very nice head of hair going on, so you're good.
Oh, sir, I'm only 28, so this is all about to go very wrong. Thank you, mate.
It must be just the levels of stress that just attacking them decide to attack their hair follicles as well, apparently. So, but you're doing all right so far.
I suspect that's probably the case. Yeah. So far, it's all right. I don't know. I've never looked at the top of my head. Is there anything there?
No,
You're
all
good.
right. You're doing all right.
That's a lovely head of hair right there.
Yeah.
Pray for me at 32, guys. Thank you.
Awesome.
Everybody donate £1. Pray for Harry. All of that.
So you just kind of broke my brain a little bit. You know, I said about how much there is behind the scenes of the music industry, and then you talked about Stone Dead and talking and trying to analyze what they're doing, and I just thought, I probably know maybe like 1% of it as well, and I think that's a lot. So that is crazy. That
I only know 2. I only know 2. Yeah, so there's a lot. Man. I only know a little bit more than you. There's a long way to go.
Yeah, but it's cool. I love learning these things. There've been loads of questions I've thought about since we've been talking, and they've all gone. But one thing I said that I was going to ask is, what is your job during the festival? What do you do when you're at the festival then, other than looking around, just admiring everybody?
All right, so number one most important job is being at the barrier for every single band. That's the part. That is job number one, right?
Nice.
So the last 3 years I've interviewed every single band. So it's an intense day because it's watch bands, interview bands in the gap before the next band, watch bands, interview band. So it's flip flop all day long. And the way I do it is I schedule everybody's load-in and interview times. Every band has a full schedule. They know when they're arriving, all this sort of stuff. When they're being interviewed, I've got an artist liaison team that escort them over where they need to go and all this stuff. And I tend to try and do 4 interviews before the doors open, because then I do the other 6, because there's 10 a day, or there has been until this year. I'll get to this year. And then so by the time band 7 come onto the stage, the interviews are done, and then I can really enjoy the festival. So my job at the festival, interview the bands because I want to do it, because I'm really excited about learning it. Like as I say, I only book bands I like, which means my questions are really in depth about a specific lyric or a show they did or what it was like to support that band or whatever. It's like in depth stuff about subject matters and about I try and go into some detail, right? So that's my passion. So I've always done it like that. We face a conundrum and a problem, gentlemen. And that is that we've got 36 bands and there's no clashes. So there's always a band playing. So I can either go and see every band relentlessly, absolutely ruin my ears, but not interview anybody, or I've got to pick bands to not see and interview a few bands. I feel very under pressure. To be honest, I don't really know what to do about it. I don't know if any advice, guys. What do I do, gentlemen? Help.
That's a tough question.
It's a tough question, but I can't help but think that you are the one who put all this together the way that it's put as well. So you've only got yourself to blame anyway.
That's true. You're going to have to come up with your own solution for that one. I don't think we can help you.
Clone yourself.
Cheers.
There we go.
Thank you.
Yeah, clone yourself. That's what you need. You need a second version.
Yeah, I do. No, my thing has always been, this is a phrase I've always said, I work 363 days to have 2 days off, and that's the festival.
Yeah.
Right? That's my thing. And a day off for me is interviewing bands and watching bands. Like, that's the coolest thing ever. So I have the very best team you could possibly ever find. There's never been a delay. There's never been, cutting songs of sets. We're on it, Hammerdown. The stage crew are unbelievable. I've got a production manager called Pete that I'm just like, right, you deal with all the problems, mate. Because I'm going to go have a beer. And then I've got an artist liaison crew who, band's not there, they were due to arrive at 12:10. Let's give them a call, figure out whatever. I don't have to worry about anything, right? And that's nothing to do with me. That's testament to all of the team. They run the show. I've got an amazing merch team, amazing door team. I go and check in on everyone and say hello and whatever, but I allow myself to take as much pressure off as possible, because for me to be out there chatting with people, watching the bands, that's why the hell would I do it if I wasn't going to watch the bands? What on earth is the point of that? So I just want to go and enjoy it, catch up with all of the old mates that come along, that have been coming for all these years, meet new people, whatever, and just watch some cool music. That's what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah,
definitely.
We've said the same. We spend all year talking about Download Festival. So the last thing we want to do while we're there is try and interview bands and work it, and we want to have fun while we're there. Whereas other people may,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So right, mate, and you deserve that. Like, you put so much into this podcast, so you should be going around and saying, right, I've got this big list of bands to tick off. This is the week off. There's 52 weeks in a year. You can have one off to go and enjoy the bands. And that's exactly what that's the attitude I'd have if I was in your position. Hang on.
Yeah. I want to get talking about the suit in a minute. But I mean, we've asked a lot of questions about this year, but we've probably only scratched the surface. So do you want to spend a few minutes just saying any other information that people might want to know, any other deals that you've got, maybe anything that I might not have found about this year's Hammerdown, and basically tell people why they'd want to go to it?
Yeah, okay, cool. So just to recap, then, it's on the 19th and the 20th of July. So that's a Saturday and a Sunday, and it's at Chalk and Dust in Brighton, which is an 850 and a 200 cap venue. They're within the same building, and they're all around it is loads of different food vendors and shops and stuff out on the high street that you guys can all go and visit. So wristband, come in and out as much as you like. We're literally on the beach, so you can go and enjoy the beach when your ears have had enough. Day tickets are £40. Weekend tickets are £65. You get 36 bands across 2 stages in 2 days. There are no clashes. I think that's really, really important to us. You get to see everybody. Again, that comes from my fan thing of I want to see all of the bands, so I don't want them to clash. Yeah. One day when I have like 58 stages, that will be a different problem. But for now, I get to see everybody, right? So there's that. And then I'd say, look, the reason why you choose this festival above any others is a given in this day and age with how many good bands there are. All of the festival lineups are good. That's not enough to sell it. It's a given at the Raven Age, Dream State, Demon, Fort Hope. These are good quality big bands. That's a given, right? So for us, it's all about the community and the family. And I'll tell you one thing that you will notice when you come into the room for Hammerdown for the first time: the buzz and the energy in that room that is created by all of the people that come to Hammerdown 4 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever, and they have pride and passion knowing that they built this festival. Because there's no way I'm starting a festival in an 850 cap room with no money and no history in the bank. All of those people who built it up from a tiny event to this are the people that make that happen. And so there are hundreds of people who come every year now who have this honest, excited buzz and this community family feel. I go to lots of festivals, and probably because I'm involved in this one, obviously, but there is an absolute buzz and an energy, and anybody who comes into the room feels part of that family straight away. That's the feedback I've got. It's a cool thing because it's been going for so long and it's been so small for so long, and now that it's taken off, people feel part of something, special.
It's a great selling point because people want to be part of something. So that
really
is a special one.
You can go to so many lineups, so many festivals, and have a good lineup. I'm going to one tomorrow. I told you, I'm going to Breaking Bands Festival. That's got a great lineup, right? That's lovely. So all these other festivals, and you should go and support as many as you can. But yeah, we've built something special with Hammerdown, the community, I think.
Yeah, cool. And I would agree. Something I wanted to say as well. We spoke earlier. I've been aware of the festival since, I think it was 2022, maybe in 2023. Even though I've not been to any, I've noticed how much it's grown, like from the bands that you're booking and just little things like how professional the poster looks, and it's obvious that you are putting you're learning as you go, and you're putting more into it. Yes. Or you're always putting everything into it, but because you're learning more, you've got more to put in, if that makes sense. And so yeah, I agree. I think you're gonna, the way you're growing, Bloodstock started indoors. It wouldn't surprise me if 10 years time you're on the same level, or getting to the same level. Slam Dunk.
That's the goal, man.
Slam Dunk started indoors, and now it's huge. So yeah, and so like you said,
those are festivals that inspire me, man. You're absolutely that's it. Like I follow those stories. I say that to the team. When times are tough, it's like, hey man, look, these festivals been on the exact same path as that we're on. Like, it's all well and good me saying all the time, which I do say, that we want to create the download of the South. But look, that had all this budget to begin with, so that's not necessarily realistic for somebody to look at and go, oh, we could create that, because that's so far away from where we're at. But it's not far away from where we're at to say these festivals started indoors and now they're mega festivals on the main European circuit. Yeah. Like, we can absolutely achieve that. If they've done it, why can't we? There's plenty of fantastic festivals that are on on a wicked level now. Look at Takedown, look at Made of Stone Festival, look at Burn It Down Festival. Stone Dead is the absolute example of that. Festivals that are started and are now really, really successful and cool events. So yeah, man, like that's what we want to do. We want to be biggest and best one day.
I don't think though that even money is having it all, because if you look at something like Sonisphere, they had all the money and they wasted it all and ran the festival into the ground. So it doesn't, starting with money isn't always the way to start a festival. But, rolling up from the ground upwards, I think, is a great way of building a festival. And then eventually
get to
those levels.
That is so smart. You're bang on, because it is far easier to screw up the 10 grand festival and lose $4,000, than it is to the £1 million festival and lose 400 grand, isn't it? Yeah. So you're mate. That's bang on. Yeah, absolutely. Because if you get the experience from screwing it up a couple of times, which I've definitely done, by the way, then like in my early days, losing £3,000 feels like the end of the world, and it was at the time. Don't get me wrong, but it's £3,000. You can bounce back from that, and we did, right? But if I'd gone, let's say somebody had given me £1 million on that first one, and I'd lost the same percentage, mate, I would be so bankrupt. So yeah, man, you're so right. Yeah, that's such a good point, actually. Yeah,
cool. So I wanted to just say to the people listening as well, just imagine if you could have said you were at the very first Bloodstock festivals or anything like that, go to Hammerdown, join Hammerdown, be part of the origin story. There we go. That's a good way to put it.
Yes.
Definitely.
Let's talk about another story. Let's talk about your battle suit, because I think a lot of people recognised that at Download last year. So for anybody who doesn't know, obviously you see these battle jackets where people wear denim, and then sew all the patches to it. Harry has a suit that he sews patches to, and it is absolutely genius.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, no. Right. So the story is that, so I never used to wear suits pre-COVID or anything, and then when I got the sales job, I was in a suit, and I was still doing the sales in 2022. When did I announce the restart? October 2021, I think. I was still doing the sales, and I was doing 16-hour a day commission-only sales in random flipping high streets in South Wales at the time, was where I was living. So I was doing all of my social media posts to promote the comeback festival in 2022 in a suit. I'll get your tickets, whatever. I was just in a suit, and so it wasn't intentional. I was just at work, right? So, and I was still doing the sales right up until August 2023. So after 2 festivals, right, in 22 and 23. So by that point, people just recognised me as the dude in the suit. And then what happened was, I got when I was going to random gigs, late after the day at work, I was just in my suit. And people start being like, "Oh, it's the Hammerdown guy," because I'm obviously a weirdo in a suit at a gig. So that's really only going to be me. So if anybody knows about Hammerdown, they're not going to get me mistaken for something else today. So that then became its own thing. And then as time went on, like I got stopped. I was in a pub just catching up with my mate. And this was incredibly, wonderfully coincidental, because he was asking me, would you potentially manage my band? And then some dude comes up to me like, "Oh my God, are you the Hammerdown guy? Can I tell you about my band?" And it just made me look so cool. So it was very good timing. But because that wasn't at a gig, that was just in like a random place, I was like, okay, there's something here. I'm in a suit all day, every day. Something here. So when Bleed Again got announced for Download, I'd already started by that point, because people are like, "Oh, you don't look metal." But well, screw you then. I'm going to put patches on suit because I don't care. So I started doing that. And then when Bleed Again got announced for Download, I asked the guys at Moomin Merchandise, Dave, I said, "Mate, can you get me a patch with a QR code on it? Can you get me So they printed me a QR code. It says Hammerdown, everything around it. People will scan my back at the festival. And I was like, people will have a chat to me at the festival. They'll scan it. It'll be really cool. I had no idea how much it was going to blow up last year. Posts were in like every Download group of like, hundreds of likes and comments on like anybody know who this guy is who's got a suit on. But like what was one tag? It was the fun. What was the comment? Yes. So there's a thing of a While She Sleeps hit, right? And I know the song, so I'm sort of going like that, and I'm putting my hands down and getting ready to jump up and go crazy. And somebody put this video on one of the download groups and called me the Mosh Pit Middle Manager.
Yeah.
And mate, it's the funniest thing ever. So it, you know, the battle suit just became its own thing. And now I still wear like full actual like 3-piece suits to gigs and that, because I do think there's something there now, like it's become a brand. But yeah, like the battle suit is what I wear to most gigs now. And you know what's funny, right? And I still get this now, which is great and hilarious and sort of proves my point as to why it's a good idea. I was running a little festival in London on Sunday with the Hammerdown brand. And it was flipping hot, but it was really muggy. It was really cloudy over London, right? So I wasn't wearing the battle suit all day. The jacket was just on the back of my chair. So I'm in a white shirt and black trousers and black shoes and a nice belt and whatever. And some guy's like, "Oh, can I give you a bit of advice? You know, look the part. You know, wear a band shirt. You know, next time, because I think that would really help." And I'm like, yeah, cool. But my point is, I'm still evidently standing out just by looking like a weirdo. So like, it obviously there's something in it, you know, like I don't take offense. It was quite a funny thing, but you know, it's become a thing, so I will continue to do it. Why not?
It's great. Great marketing.
Yeah, me and my friends used to have a shirt and tie day for download. We always used to wear a shirt and tie.
Yes,
that's going back to the early days, like pre 2010 or whatever. Real early days. Yeah, that's very cool.
That's cool, man.
Yeah. Personal question. I'm not sure if any listeners will be interested, but what knot do you go for in your tie? What kind of knot?
Double Windsor every time.
Double Windsor.
Windsor every time.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I find it's the easiest one to do up and make it look neat.
Yeah.
Like single Windsors, I think are too. I don't like the angle that the main bit of the tie comes out at. Yeah. And I'm not smart or sophisticated enough to do anything other than those two.
Okay, cool.
I don't know anymore. It's just those are the options.
My go-to is the Eldridge knot. Try it; it's very cool. Nobody will notice you will do it. Nobody will ever notice it, but it's what I do every time now. But
really, okay, I'm legit going to do that on the train home. I'm going to do a tutorial with it.
Try it.
I had to. So for the first year that I was in suits, right? Because I'd never done that. I come from like a council estate and all that. And so when I was first doing the sales and stuff, every day for the first 3 months that I was doing sales for, I had to watch in the morning this same tutorial, which has got like 30 million views on it now. Which a lot of mine is an Australian guy commentating on how to do a double Windsor knot. I do it every morning, right? Every morning. So I'm going to do. Was it Eldridge?
Eldridge knot, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, it took me a while to learn it and not be able to do it without watching a YouTube video. But like I said, nobody will notice you've got it. It's never, but you'll know. So and
that's the point. If you feel good, man, if you feel like you look good, then the world is your oyster. So yes, cool. It doesn't matter if anybody else notices or not. It's all about you and how you feel. Isn't it?
Excellent. I think that's probably going to be a good place to finish it with knots, tie knots. There was so much more that we wanted to ask because you've said you've got your management team. Was it 18 bands you said you've got?
Yeah,
that you manage.
We've got other stuff going on. We've got loads of different mini festivals now, and we've got brand of beer, and there's all sorts going on. But that's a whole other. Chat one, whatever.
Well, if you ever feel like you need a southwest wing of Hammerdown, give me and Simon a shout. We'll only book Swedish bands because that's all I like. No, and it sounds so cool what you're doing. It's hard to keep up with everything that you're doing. But yeah, we probably should call it there.
Yeah, I've no idea. I don't keep. I have to ask the team all the time. Has that show been announced yet? They're like, yeah, Harry, that's 2 weeks ago. I'm sure.
But yeah, like I was saying, so I think if we try to go into everything else that you do, we're going to be here for another hour. But we do like, so it's not just download we talk about. We do, dive into the music industry. So if you're happy to, we'd love it if you come back on and tell us all about the other things that you do. And then we can have a good old chat about like the industry as a whole and what we understand in here.
Mate, I would love to.
Cool.
Mate, it's an honour being on the Dear Download podcast one time. Mate, it'll be, I'd be all over that, absolutely. And come to Hammerdown, yeah? Obviously, I'd love to have you there. So
yeah, awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much, Harry, for coming on.
Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
And that was the interview. And like you said before, he is full of everything, full of energy, full of information. And as you would have heard, we've invited him back to talk all things music industry because we genuinely enjoy learning about all this kind of stuff as well.
Yes,
we really do. But because of the podcast that we know that most of you do as well, listening.
You look at a festival and you think this all looks fantastic, but also I wonder what happens when I pull back the curtain. What am I going to see? How does this work? How does that work? And I think that's one of the reasons why me and Adam have enjoyed doing this podcast so much is we don't just talk about surface stuff like a lot of other podcasts do. We like to go into the detail. We like to pull back the curtain. We like to know how things work. They're doing this. Why are they doing this? What are they doing this for? Like that. Those are the details that me and Adam really love about music. Like music being created, but also about what happens behind the scenes and how things work and how they're ran. Which is why Harry is a gold mine of information for us because, we could have talked to him for like 4 hours and it would have felt like 2 minutes because everything he was saying was so interesting to us. And I could see all the cogs in Adam's brain just going around when he was saying all this stuff, like all these questions that were going around in his head. So we definitely have to have him back on because we've just got so much other stuff to talk about. Yeah.
I asked him, if there any particular aspects of what he does that he wants to talk about, and he said that that there's been a couple of interviews recently that he's done that focused more on the management of the band side of things, so he didn't really want to talk about that too much, but I said to him, we're going to touch on that because we're interested in general, and that's where I said our listeners will be interested in that too because our listeners are the nerdiest of nerds when it comes to festivals and things like that. They love that stuff, and we love it. And I wanted to talk about it. We just ran out of time. If I tried talking about any of that, we would have been talking for another hour. So
easily.
We've got him coming back on. Hopefully we'll see him at Hammerdown anyway, which will be cool. We'll get to see In Search of Sun again, but a whole load of other great bands. One thing I was going to ask him, which I didn't actually, was if he makes like a Spotify playlist up of every band playing and things like that, all the cool things that the fans normally do. And when I said to him about, there is like an infinite amount of things that you can do when putting on a festival. You can just keep thinking of another thing that you should be doing.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna take the time to listen to a lot of these bands as well. And if there is a playlist, then I'll put it in the episode notes, in the show notes. I'll put links to everything that Harry does as well in the episode notes as well. Watch him get another 200 entries into 200 people emailing him now, trying to get on the bill. And keep your eye out for the Southwest Swedish Swedish wing of Hammerdown coming soon by me and Simon.
That's gonna be more of a weird niche festival. Could you imagine me and you only trying to book Swedish bands? It would be quite difficult, but I suppose we could do it.
I know hundreds. I'll find them. And Danish. We can go Danish as well because
your best mates with a Swedish band now.
Self-deception.
Yeah, you've hugged them, you got to know them, you'd be able to get them to play, no problem.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure they probably would. Some of the contacts he's got as well. I think it was Crushed by Waves, like I said during the interview. And I think their manager is a lady called Marianne Harris, who was a big part of the Southwest. Well, what's it called? Scene, yeah, the Southwest scene. I remember when Bring Me the Horizon played here. Actually, would have been their very early days. They were like 15 or something, and she took an amazing photo of Ollie jumping into the crowd. It was amazing. I always remember that photo.
Nice.
Yeah, And she is one of the people that will know a hell of a lot about the Yeovil Ski Lodge as well, which we've talked about a lot. So, it'll be good to go there and meet him and some of the people and some of the bands that he works with. It's crazy. It's a whole world of things that we are unaware of, but we are so close as well at the same time. So it'd be nice to.
Oh yeah, big time.
Yeah. Sorry, I just went off on a random thing.
No,
it made me think because she was there at the Bristol gig with Crushed by Waves when we saw Self Deception, and I thought about saying, like, speaking to her about, she would have no idea who I am. But she's obviously gone from photography to managing bands. She's manages a lot of bands now, and I think some are actually on this year's takeover as well. But anyway,
nice.
I'm going off completely. We're going to keep this bit short and sweet because we've got to carry on getting ready for everything we're going to be doing at Download. So we have to say a huge thank you to our Patreons once again, and we got a comment from Duncan about me getting his name wrong last episode. I'll get it right this time, Duncan, don't worry. So we're going to say a huge thank you to Duncan Scott, Ash Henson, Joe Butler, Marty Ellis, Mike Ferris, Andy T2, Liam Hopwood, Tom West, Vicky Rutter, Ethan Brown, Matthew, Chris Henderson, Scoot, Ben Sacconi, Johnny Bravo, Chris Hambridge, Sean Schofield, H from Steps for Download, and James. That's nice that I run out of breath while doing that. That's amazing. Thank you all so much. We really appreciate everything you do for us, all the support that we get. Every penny that we get goes back into the podcast, and we can do some really cool things with what we get. And
definitely,
we've got some cool things planned as well. So yeah, thank you all so much. Simon, tell us about your YouTube and what's going on with that at the minute.
The standard Download run of videos, I'd say. My Essentials video just came out. By the time this comes out, my tent video, I want to say, just Download 2025 tent video will be up. And I'm working on one video that I've never attempted to do before at this time for Download, since they're taking so bloody long to release everything. Because I can't do the map updates and all that sort of stuff because it's just they haven't given us any information. So I'm mixing things up a little and doing a video that I've kind of wanted to do for a while. Seen other people do it, but it hasn't really been, mine will be slightly different anyway. And yeah, that's it really. There's just the standard videos on the lead up to Download.
You're not going to tell us what it is. You got to be really intrigued. You had that. You were building and building and building and building and building. And then,
you're gonna have to wait.
Yeah. You bastard.
Gonna have to wait.
Bait. The best kind of bait.
I never do wait bait either, but yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's cool, man. You got me intrigued. At least I'm looking forward to that. When will that one be out? Is that this week's episode or?
No, that will be next. So when as you guys are listening to this, it will be this coming Friday, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
If I work that out right. Yes.
Cool. There's a few other things I want to say that I don't say very often, but I do want to bring it back and say it every now and then, which is, our Discord is going crazy at the minute. We had about 10 new members the other day, which was really cool, and I was curious about it. I was confused, and Kelly showed me it's because one of the Chris's. Oh, terrible. Oh, that's awful. I can't remember which one. I can never remember. But one of the Chris's put as a comment in one of the Facebook groups about our Discord. So thank you for doing that, Chris. But yeah, so come and join our Discord channel. Our Discord channel is really active all the time. Some really cool chats about Download and things that you probably don't see other places. And it's not the random questions about when people can sell their tickets all the time. Like you get on some of the other social medias. So yeah, come and join that. If you can leave us a review or a star rating or anything, I know Spotify, that has massively blown up recently. We're on over 100 star ratings on Spotify now, which is amazing. So if you listen and you haven't done that yet, go and just chuck us a star rating. It doesn't take very long. That'd be really appreciated. And yeah, give us a review or rating wherever you listen to this if you can. That would be really, really appreciated. So come back next episode where we shall be doing an episode all about everything else that's happening at Download Festival other than the bands. We don't know if it'll be next week or the week after yet. We're planning on next week to get it out as early as possible before Download, but it depends when they actually put the map out. So it's a goodbye from Simon.
Goodbye.
And a goodbye from me. Goodbye.